I know Jenny and Michael are planning the world domination strategy for undergrad, but we can do that after. Good evening, folks. I'm glad you're finding your seats. It's really terrific to be with you all this evening. Faculty members, honored guests, distinguished scholars, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome you all to our chairing ceremony for faculty. I'm Andrew Medvedev, your esteemed host for the evening and interim co-dean for the school, along with my trustee partner, J.B. Silvers. And we're honored to be with you all this evening to honor you. You know, I think of the best parts of my job, and it goes back to spending time with faculty. It's the thing that I didn't get to do over the past 25 years of my career, and I'm trying to play catch up by spending time with so many amazing bright minds and big hearts that really make this building as special as it is. So tonight we honor a few of our most prominent faculty who've left a mark on their disciplines, on the school, and on so many students time and time again. Diana Villamoria, the KeyBank professor. David Cooperrider, the Covia David Cooperrider professor in appreciative inquiry. Sue Helper, the Frank Tracy Carlton professor in economics. Kala Luutinen, the Iris Wolstein professor in management design. Satish Nambasan, the Nancy and Joseph Keithley professor in technology management. Scott Shane, the Mal Nixon professor in entrepreneurial studies. Jagdeep Singh. I'm missing Jagdeep. Oh, you're hiding. Unlikely position for you to be in, but you're hiding for a second. The AT&T chair in marketing. And Youngjin Yu, the Troy Huff professor of entrepreneurship.
Well, I have to acknowledge our donors. This wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here this evening if it weren't for them. The philanthropic, and I'm not sure, do we have any donors here? This is a hard time, so I'm not sure we got too many responses on that, but we really thank them for their donations. They're making a huge difference for us in the school. Without any further ado, though, let me get started and begin the official investiture program. I like that better than installation. I always expect somebody to have a screwdriver and put your feet into the ground with the installed. Now the installation, the investiture. So I'd like to invite Lynn Singer to come up and introduce our first honoree, Diana Villamoria, who's the KeyBank professor. Let me tell you just a little bit about it. The fund was originally established in '92 by the Society National Bank. That tells you something. Those of you who have been around here, you know that. The name was amended in 2007 to reflect the merger of societies. So thank you so much. Provost?
I'm here. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. I am thrilled to be here today to introduce my distinguished colleague and dear friend, the KeyBank professor, Professor Diana Villamoria. We were asked to note a little bit about how we became acquainted with our inductee. So I met Diana 20 years ago when I unexpectedly ended up in the provost office. And I had the idea of the university applying for a new National Science Foundation program for institutional transformation, designed to reduce barriers for women and underrepresented faculty in STEM fields. Coming from medicine, I barely knew anyone who wasn't a psychologist or in the psych department, but had heard of Mary Barkley, a professor of chemistry, who assembled for us a stellar group of faculty to plan the proposal. Diana, then a junior professor, was one of those 4 faculty and proved to be the conceptual leader, the brains behind our successful application, and Case became the first private university to attain this $3.5 million award. Not only did Diana develop the theoretical model for organizational change that became the heart of the proposal, and between, by the way, 4 subsequent awards, she also proposed the then radical idea of, quote, executive coaching for women STEM faculty. and for the, at that time, almost all male chairs and deans. So radical an idea that we had to respond forcefully to critiques that were highly skeptical that a corporate business intervention would be suitable for scientists. Of course, the rest is history, as coaching became the most sought after, most effective element of the program, and is now ubiquitous in STEM fields, due to the national and international influence of Diana. So that's how I met Diana, and later Kim, and they're both my dear friends. So yes, I'm extremely honored to be asked to introduce her work. I'm not so thrilled to be asked to summarize her 71-page single-spaced CV in 4.5 minutes, allotted to us. Similar to 60-second Shakespeare, we'll deal with 60-second Diana. So let's begin. We're going to go to Star Wars now. In a not so long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, in India, called the University of Bombay, a certain national merit scholar earned degrees in management and followed a dream, an American dream, to obtain her PhD from the University of Michigan. Although I understand she packed her suitcase poorly, not anticipating what the term, quote, cold winter weather meant in Michigan, it was the last time she was missing any of the right stuff. Her arrival in Cleveland as an instructor at the Weatherhead School marked the birth of a quickly recognized and increasingly acclaimed career of brilliant academics and outstanding leadership and achievements, to wit. Diana has published 4 books and over 95 referee journal articles and book chapters, including in the field's top journals, such as the Academy of Management Journal and the Journal of Organizational Behavior, with awards for all of her work. For example, she received the Best Paper in the Academy of Management Learning and Education Award, and it has had numerous Best Conference Papers, poster awards, Conference Outstanding Reviewer Awards, and a notable Commonwealth Businesswoman Network's Publication of the Year Award from London in the UK. She's been editor of the Journal of Management Education and editor for many other special issues of journals, and serves on multiple journal editorial boards. As we all know, these are considered the pinnacles of academic success and speak to a prolific and stellar academic standing, recognized by peers nationally and internationally, and recognized here by the Weatherhead Enduring Research Impact Award. Diana's national and international service to her profession has also been peer recognition. As we know, when you're invited, appointed, Diana has been invited and appointed to so many national boards and international boards. As an example, the National Academy's Committee on Understanding and Addressing the Underrepresentation of Women in Science and Engineering, an NSF Advanced Resource and Coordination Network's Research Advisory Board, a virtual visiting scholars selection committee from the American Geophysical Union's Geoscience Research Coordination Network. Could go on and on. She's been on the external advisory boards for numerous NSF alliances and external advisory boards at UC Davis, Xavier University, University of Virginia, Clarkson, and others. So I don't know how she does all of this. She's been elected to serve from more than 20,000 members on the Board of Governors of the Academy of Management, and has won 3 Distinguished Service Awards from their group. So do you recall the NSF Advance Award where I met Diana? She served as PI and co-PI of 4 NSF Advance Awards, including the Institutional Transformation Award, 2 Partnership Awards, and a research grant, all of which developed scholarship and initiatives to increase the participation and leadership of women and women of color faculty in STEM, to transform the culture of academic institutions. She has been a leader here at CASE in institutional transformation, developing numerous programs that I'll go into. She's led 2 consortia from the National Science Foundation, 6 universities in Ohio, and expanding to 10, including Pennsylvania, of doctoral research universities taking the ideas and the concepts and seeding them to all of these other universities and nationally. She also served from these models of consortia. She developed and was the research director of the National Science Foundation Alliance for Graduate Education in the Professoriate here. And this is where I think Diana's scholarship and leadership breaks the mold. Not only has her scholarship impacted the 225,000 people across 185 countries through her online course of Women in Leadership, and the numerous corporate and nonprofit clients who seek her counsel, the more than 80 doctoral students that she has mentored, but it has also had enduring impact on our campus and the careers of men and women faculty right here. You may not realize that prior to these grants, we did not have a faculty development office. We did not have an Asian Faculty Association, a tenure prep program for faculty, leadership forums for department chairs and deans. Dr. Billamoria's work has been truly transformative. As important as her intellectual abilities and scholarship are her integrity and kindness. One of my colleagues, an incredibly pioneering and the former chair of biochemistry and medicine, Richard Hansen, left one message for his successor and for all of us: be kind. Despite her designation, all of these honors as Global Alpha Woman, I've never heard of that praise before, Alpha Woman Award from elite women around the world, Diana's integrity and kindness mark everything that she does. In summary, a 35-plus year record of scientific innovation and dissemination, development and leadership of pioneering institutional transformation projects, and generative university partnerships, productive research collaborations, impactful teaching, and dedicated mentoring, and significant institutional, professional, industrial, and community service and outreach. I am proud to be a colleague of Professor Diana Villamoria and friend.
Wow. Well, thank you, Lynn, for that amazing introduction. And as you know, you are so special to me. Thank you. So I'd like to start by thanking the Key Bank Foundation for their wisdom in endowing this chair, starting, of course, decades ago, as JB mentioned, but more recently in 2011, when I was endowed originally. And the designation at the time was to support a professorship in the Weatherhead School of Management for a faculty member who demonstrates values of cultural diversity in business. How forward-thinking. Thank you for this continuing recognition of all of the contributions. All of my work, whether research, teaching, mentoring, editorial, professional service, university service, industry, outreach, and community work, has been to advance an energized and engaged leadership in the world. Mostly, I've been concerned with the question of how to design and build inclusive systems that build a capacity for all people to fully participate, advance, lead, and thrive. My personal mission is to inspire and enable leaders who transform business and society. My work falls at the nexus between leadership and governance on the one hand and diversity, equity, and inclusion on the other. I've led projects that Lynn has mentioned to intervene and study equity-related transformation in many different kinds of organizations, including here at our own university and among other academic and corporate systems. I've focused on leading educational programs and workplace interventions including leadership development programs, engagement interventions, coaching and mentoring programs, equity studies, and policy changes. All of these are focused on shedding light on the underlying factors that promote a more inclusive environment for leadership. I'll leave with you 3 key overall insights that I gather from 3.5 decades of this work. First, there is a payoff from diversity, but inclusion and equity efforts are needed to optimize the diversity dividend. Second, lack of inclusion results in sometimes spectacularly unfavorable outcomes across the spectrum, particularly leading to the disengagement and the checking out of workforce members, as well as a loss of innovation and risk-taking. And the third insight I'll leave with you is, since this problem is historical, systemic, and complex, the solutions we implement cannot be short-term, one-off, or simplistic. Instead, what is needed is diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts and investments that are intentionally engineered and strategically designed. And the investments and efforts need to be top-down, bottom-up, and middle-out. I believe that higher education, primarily management education, can transform organizations and empower individuals to lead in the betterment of business and society. As Yeats said, education is not just the filling of a pail, it is the lighting of a fire. And over these decades, I've done my best to be encouraging of the diverse paths and journeys of accomplishment of so many students. I've sought to help students and colleagues know that they can bring their full selves forward, that their work contributes to something meaningful, that they can grow and develop through their educational quests, and that someone cares about and believes in them. In this regard, I would like to give a special shout out to more than 40 doctoral students whom I've had the pleasure of serving as a dissertation advisor, and another 40 that I've served on different kinds of committees and other kinds of projects. Thank you also to the countless undergraduate, master's, exec ed, and global online MOOC students with whom I've interacted over the decades. I have learned so much from them. Thank you to my faculty colleagues and my staff colleagues. First in my awesome Department of Organizational Behavior, and also at the Weatherhead School, just outstanding colleagues that I've been privileged to work with. Across the world, colleagues who mentored and collaborated with me and partnered. And particularly working across disciplines, much of what, Lynn, you mentioned as the STEM work that we've done has been energizing and growthful. I'd like to close by thanking all of my family and friends here in the Cleveland area, in India, and across the world. A special shout out to my partner, Kim, and to our grandkids, Elliot and Claire. All of you make it so meaningful. Thank you.
Highlight of your day.
Isn't it fun to celebrate our friends and peers here? This is great. Next, I'd like to invite Ron Fry to come up and introduce David Cooprider, who's the Covey. He's the only person I know who has a chair that's named after him. Isn't that amazing? David L. Cooprider Professor of Appreciative Inquiry. It was established in 2007 by the Fairmont Minerals Chair in Social Entrepreneurship and has only been held by David, since its founding. Therefore, in 2014, it was decided to include David's name in the title. Chuck Fowler, many of you know Chuck. Chuck served as president and CEO of Fairmont Minerals from 96 until his retirement in 2013 and was instrumental, and many of you knew him as one of our EMBAs from way back. Ron?
Thank you, JB. Good afternoon. I've maintained for years that one of, if not the greatest joys of being a professor here at Weatherhead is when doctoral students enter my life and forever change it. I've had more than a handful of those amazing experiences, and this is an opportunity for me to pay tribute to the most significant one. As a freshly minted assistant professor, I met David Cooperrider as an entering doctoral student in 1980. Little did either of us know at that time the depth, breadth of friendship, colleagueship, co-creation, and family bonds that would follow. Upon completion of his dissertation, I thank God that our department had the wisdom to break with tradition and hire one of our own. Here's just a glimpse. I feel for you, same thing, trying to summarize all that. Here's just a glimpse of some of the headlines of the accomplishments David has had over the past 4+ decades. And like all of our honorees here, all of them, he has amassed a remarkable record of scholarship. He is a distinguished university professor. He was given the university's Top Researcher Award in 2005 and again in 2015. He has co-authored, authored, or edited 28 books. The most recent, actually not the most recent, but Business of Building a Better World, the leadership that is changing everything, was Get Abstract's 2022 Reader's Choice winner of the International Book of the Year. It was also a finalist for the Academy of Management's 2022 Responsible Research in Management Award. He has 84 refereed journal articles, 72 book chapters. He's been a guest editor of 9 special journal issues and co-editor of the Journal of Corporate Citizenship for a 6-year tenure. As a mentor, he's served on over 85 doctoral qualifying committees and over 50 doctoral dissertation committees, 22 of which he chaired. Supporting all of this has been David's leadership in fundraising. From his first major grant of $7 million in the early 1990s from USAID, and on through his more than 20 years of work through his brainchild, the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent for World Benefit, David's helped the Weatherhead School bring in more than $23 million in grants, sponsorships, faculty chairs, and philanthropic gifts. He's received a long list of honors and awards, including Distinguished Contribution to Workplace Learning by the Association for Training and Development, the International Who's Who Lifetime Achievement Award, the OD Network's Porter Award for the Best Writing in Organizational Development, and Training Magazine's Visionary of the Year. In 2016, David was named as one of the nation's top thought leaders by Trust Across America. And in that same year, he was listed in our accreditation body, the AACSB, as one of the most influential leaders. This past year, David received the OD Network's highest honor, the Elevating Humanity Award. He has held the Char and Chuck Fowler Professorship for Business as an Agent of World Benefit and the Fairmont Minerals Professorship for Social Entrepreneurship. And as was explained, the endowed professorship was created in David's name, the Covia David L. Cooperrider Professorship in Appreciative Inquiry. So most of us here are well aware of David's pioneering thought leadership and scholarship in the creation and dissemination of appreciative inquiry. With this frame-breaking theory and practice, David has served as an advisor to senior executives in business and societal leadership roles, including projects with 2 presidents and Nobel laureates, such as Bill Clinton, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Kofi Annan, Jimmy Carter, and others. He has also served as a strategic advisor to mayors of large cities, for example, Tampa and Cleveland, and also to a wide variety of corporations. The short list would be things like Apple, the Cleveland Clinic, Sherwin-Williams, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, the National Grid, Smuckers, Sloan Kettering, Fairmount Minerals, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, Roadway, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Parker, Dealer Tire, Gojo, Walmart, as well as the American Red Cross, American Hospital Association, World Vision, Save the Children, the United Nations, United Way of America, and recently Europe's Energy Earthshot, chaired by the chairperson of IKEA. So in preparing this, I found myself asking the question, you can ask many, many questions related to David's great work. Why is it that these kinds of leaders and change agents seek out David's counsel? More important, perhaps, to this gathering, what is it that ignites the vision and generosity of a Chuck Fowler or his subsequent leaders at Fairmount, now Covia, and then the Fowler Family Foundation to invest in and support the ongoing applications and development of appreciative inquiry theory and practice? What causes a leader like Bob Stiller, the then CEO of Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, to endow a center at Champaign College in David's name to promote the next generations of appreciative inquiry leaders and practitioners? So one answer might be very pragmatic. In both those cases and in several others, David worked with those companies for over 2 decades and helped them achieve, in their words, record-setting financial growth. So maybe that's the reason. It's just purely kind of a transactional, we've got a great thing, let's try it, and it works. Another answer might be that David's unique nature himself, to be so valuing, so uplifting, and future-focused, is simply magnetic. You can't resist it. Both are true in my experience with David. There is one other possibility that I wanted to leave you with. As David cautions us in his most recent book called Prospective Theory, we should not only think of appreciative inquiry as the power of appreciation, the power of positivity or positive reframing. We need to reconsider that the original dissertation work by David and his first publication with Suresh Srivastava in Human Relations that spoke about appreciative inquiry presented AI not as an intervention, but as a methodology for understanding organizing in human systems in ways that help participants learn to learn together, to co-create their shared future, not by shaping the world closer to pre-existing wants or ideals, but by transforming those wants and ideals to something different and even more compelling. David argues that there's no real transformation without inquiry, without a kind of anticipatory learning. So he writes, inquiry is the experience of mystery which takes us beyond the known to the unknown, and thereby changes our lives, and often our worlds. Therein is the magic or wonder one experiences, or I experience, in being with David. Like the organizations I've mentioned and their thousands of stakeholders who have engaged with David, we are gently brought into a space where our untapped capacity to connect, imagine, create, play, help, and wonder together is opened up and manifested. For all this and more that I really can't put into words, I'm very proud to welcome to the podium the recipient of the COVIA David L. Cooperrider Professorship in Appreciative Inquiry, David Cooperrider.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Professor Fry, and everyone that's here. Your words, Ron, make me feel so lucky and thrilled, humbled, and filled with so much gratitude. I arrived here at Weatherhead 45 years ago. It was 1979, and I arrived, as Ron shared, not as a faculty member, but as an astonished, eager, nervous, and wide-eyed PhD student. And when I listened today to Ron's wonderful introduction, I know this to be true. I was born under a lucky star to have landed here at Case Western Reserve at such a great research university with its compelling call to all of us and our university mantra to think beyond the possible. And to be sure, so much of that is only possible because of the quality of the faculty who care deeply about transformational power of research, education, and the life of the mind. As an illustration, 4 or 5 years after I arrived as a student, there was a huge event down the street at our world-renowned Severance Hall. I'll not forget the story. The concert hall, so ornate and filled beyond capacity. People were there to hear Kurt Vonnegut, one of the great American novelists of the past century. It would be one of his last talks. He was frail and near the end of his life. He spoke to everybody about the precious nature of mutually elevating relationships and our growth-promoting relational task to be there for each other, and how we are all, quote, made and imagined in each other's eyes. He was visibly emotional for those special teachers that forever changed him. He then asked everyone in Severance Hall a question. How many of you have ever had a teacher at any point in your whole life that made you feel prouder to be alive, happier to be alive, and helped you realize more of your capacities than you ever believed possible? Some 2,000 people raised their hands. Then Kurt Vonnegut instructed, then, let me ask you to turn to the person next to you and tell every detail of that story. Severance Hall came alive. The entire place was buzzing. My story was about 2 teachers from across my whole life that made me, quote, in his words, feel prouder to be alive, happier to be alive, and helped me realize more of my capacity I ever believed possible. And those 2 teachers were from our Weatherhead school. One was Professor Suresh Srivastava. The other was Professor Ron Fry. And without either of these profound educators in my life, I would have never become a scholar, a theory builder, and a university professor. At Ron's own chairing ceremony several weeks ago, I went into all the details about his deep mentorship of me. Ron helped me see so many submerged gifts within myself and introduced me to the vast and exciting vistas in store for the field of organization development. And Suresh, the chairman of our OB department, he taught me what Rollo May once called the courage to create. Suresh brought the department and the OB field itself a towering sense of purpose for the creation of a humanly significant science devoted to changing the human condition of the world. With his iconoclastic stance on every subject imaginable, Suresh left an unmistakable signature legacy. On me. How iconoclastic was he? Well, in my first encounter with him, he challenged. He said, Cooperrider, forget everything you've ever learned in the field of organization development. Forget what you learned in your previous master's programs and your work in OD. You are here now. Fast forward, Appreciative Inquiry was born, the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit was born, and it united the methods of appreciative inquiry and the new science from the positive psychology of human strengths, and putting all this together with our world's massive mission economy moment right now. That is the mission to help create within a generation a nature positive, more inclusive, and regenerative economy, and doing so largely through one corporation at a time, one industry at a time, one city at a time, and to help managers turn every single social and global issue of our day into solid business opportunities to create better wealth and a better world. The combination of appreciative inquiry and sustainable business design was magical, and soon we were bringing our Weatherhead students into the field at corporations such as Apple that you mentioned to help Apple design the pathways to net zero, cleaner, greener, ethical supply chains. Soon we were invited to design and facilitate and lead the historic world summits, one, for example, with the UN Secretary General, with thousands of CEOs there, helping them grow and build the UN Global Compact, which today consists of 25,000 of the world's leading corporations. And soon, through MBA student-led interviews with leaders, interviews exploring and lifting up some of the greatest business and society innovations on the planet, we created a database and a digital platform now led by Megan Butcher. It's an initiative called Aim to Flourish, which today has some 6,000 Business for Good interviews in its database, while fueling some 2,000 Fowler Center published stories, and later dissertation research, faculty and student co-authored journals, articles, and award-winning books. So how was all this made possible? Again, like JB just mentioned and other colleagues have shared, it would not have been possible without the generosity of true humanitarians that care about our region, our world's future, and believe in the Weatherhead School of Management. In this case, it was propelled by two of our former students. I remember right where they sat in my earliest EMBA classes, and it started in an early EMBA class where we started bringing those two together, appreciative inquiry and the business side of building a better world. One of those two great students was in my class in 1988. It was Chuck Fowler. The other was the chief financial officer at the same company, and she, Jennifer Deckard, would later become Fairmont's CEO when it was time for Chuck to retire. They were an amazing team, and together they invited me to work with them and the company and our students to help them lead a whole system in the room design, enterprise-wide appreciative inquiry summit to build the strategy, to build the vision, to build new purpose of the company, including what turned out to be 10 bold initiatives for becoming an industry leader in sustainability. Chuck's aim was to advance the value of business for good. Our only mission, he said, is to do good and do well, and in that order. Wisely, he appointed the CFO, Jennifer Deckard, as the company's executive sponsor for that first Sustainable Design Summit and those to follow. Of course, it's too far afoot to describe this in any kind of detail, but following that series of Sustainable Design Summits with everyone from C-suite to sand loader operators, truck drivers, suppliers, customers, community leaders, the company took off like a moonshot. Its revenue tripled with annual growth rates over 40% annually the next 3 years. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce soon named Fairmont as the #1 corporate citizen in America. Market cap tripled, and PhD research documented everything. Beyond that company-sponsored share, massive momentum then happened. The Fowler Family Foundation gifted Weatherhead with a hugely generous and transformational several endowments, establishing the Fowler Center and the Fowler Family Fellows Endowment. Chuck Fowler was placed in Crane's Cleveland Business Hall of Fame. He became our university's chair of the Board of Trustees. And Fairmont, meanwhile, was taken public and then combined with Covia Corporation. Jennifer Deckard, again, our superstar alum, was quickly named as the CEO. She then advanced the Covia chair. When all was said and done, and with tremendously combined gifts multiplied, the Case Daily News headline in 2013 reads, and I quote it in the headline, which stated, "Commitment raises total for sustainable value to 16 million." For me, as a faculty member, with the help of this Covia professorship and my own capacity for engaged scholarship and student commitment, it also soars with enormous humility and gratitude. I know you're not in the room today, but I want to shout out that I admire you, Chuck Fowler. I admire Shar, your wife, and your family, and the whole Fowler Center Family Foundation. I admire you, Jennifer Deckard, as a business and community leader and the Covia catalyst for today's chairing ceremony. Today, our Fowler Center mission, with people such as Megan Butcher, Jude Clack, Ron Fry, Chris Laszlo, and a host of MBA, PhD fellows and advisory board members such as Dealer Tire, Cindy Stahl, our purpose is clear. It's to advance a world of full spectrum flourishing. That is, a world where business and economies can excel, all people can thrive, and nature can flourish, not just now, but across the generations. So yes, I was born under a lucky star. 1979 was a decisive moment. It was, as I shared with you, the year I landed at Weatherhead. What I didn't mention, but must, is that it was also the year that Nancy, my wife, who's the most positive, supportive, and uplifting person I've ever known, yes, it was that same year that we were married. So that's it. Oh my gosh, there's so many other people to thank. Thank you all.
Thank you, David. That's really wonderful. It's moving. Next, a little unusual, I want to hear from Jim Ribbitzer. Jim, where are you? Oh, he's in Boston. How about that? Jim was chair of our economics department, was back recently to give a seminar for us, and is a good friend. To introduce Sue Helper as the Frank Tracy Carlton Professor in Economics. This professorship was established in 1963 in the interest in the memory of Frank Carlton, who received his Bachelor of Science from Case School of Applied Science in 1895. I didn't know that. And his ME from Case School of Applied Science in 1899. He later went on to be a professor of economics at a couple of different institutions. So, Sue, where are you?
We're going to hear from Jim.
Oh, Jim, excuse me, Jim. There's Jim.
Sue Helper is among the most original and creative economists that I know. Early on in her career, she figured out two big ideas and stuck with them. The first big idea: manufacturing capacity matters, and the capacity does not sit inside a production function or even individual firms, but rather belongs to a network of firms. And if you want to understand why manufacturing capacity grows in some places and not others, pay attention to how relationships in the network work. Sue's second big idea is that you can learn a lot by watching. She held the revolutionary idea that by watching, talking to people, and getting close to the phenomenon you want to understand, you can get ideas about what is going on. This is very different from the theory first, fit model second approach that Sue and I and others learned in graduate school. Sue is a gentle soul who is also fiercely committed to using her research to influence public policy, especially to slow the erosion of living standards for blue-collar workers in declining manufacturing cities like Cleveland. This commitment drove her to be very active locally on all sorts of boards and foundations. But this same commitment also led her to years of service at the Council of Economic Advisors in the White House. Sue's choice of research topics, methods, and her politics placed her well outside the economics mainstream. But she had the curiosity, drive, and confidence to remain closely connected with that mainstream. She learned a lot from her participation in the NBER, her visits at MIT and Harvard and other elite venues. But the mainstream also learned a lot from talking to Sue. I also learned a great deal from Sue. Her two big ideas made a very large impression on my own work, and I incorporated them into my research, my teaching, and my thinking whenever I could. Finally, I want to say that Sue is enormously resilient. I saw that up close. Sue was my partner in building up the department from what was frankly a disastrously low level when I arrived in 1998 or 1999. But together, we fought a largely uphill, but also a largely successful battle to attract top talent to our group. I also saw her resilience in less happy times, particularly in her remarkable recovery from the awful shooting at Case in 2003. Case Western Reserve University and the Weatherhead School are very, very, very lucky to have Sue on its faculty. I am very glad to see her honored again with the Frank Tracy Carlton Professorship. I wish I could be there with you to celebrate. Thank you very much.
Sue.
How do I follow that?
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's so exciting to be here, and like many of the previous folks, I've been here many years. There's many people to thank. I think, as Jim mentioned, I've been kind of long sort of in dialogue and tension with the economics profession, sort of trying to live out the idea that the market is a good servant but a bad master. And so one of the things that I am grateful to Case for, and many of the people here, is helping me figure that out. So some of the people are not here anymore. So Mike Fogarty, who was the head of the Center for Regional Economic Issues, let me overspend a grant by $16,000, which back at a time when that was real money, and I didn't really even understand what a gift that was was not something that happened. This was to do survey research, which also is not something economists did at the time. This is in the early 90s. Diana Billamoria, actually, I was a beneficiary of the coaching that you provided when I was department chair, the first woman department chair, I think, and very invaluable, so remain grateful to that. Actually, I was going to do I got out of order here, but so other people, so Asim Erdelik, who was the chair of the economics department, who was initially, shall I say, unprepared for junior faculty questioning seminar speakers, particularly female junior faculty. He made my very strange case for tenure, and then he went around and did my very strange case for full, so I'm grateful to his memory. To Jim, we were incredible partners. It was great to build the department. One of the hires that I'm really grateful for is Scott Shane, who taught me a ton about entrepreneurship and the difference between entrepreneurship and small business. These are not always the same. Now my writing is too small here. Too many people. JB, who taught me about healthcare, JB and Jim together, and kind of all the kind of complexities. I thought manufacturing supply chains were complex, that healthcare supply chains also complex, really interesting. Economics has a lot to say about them because thinking about incentives is actually helpful, and so that kind of interaction of that was extremely extremely helpful. One other person I guess I want to shout out who's no longer here is Jerry Rossiger. I don't know who was a kind of institutional economist of an older stripe, and it made this remark to me about how trade agreements, if they were really free trade agreements, they wouldn't be 1,200 pages as NAFTA was. And so that helped me kind of think about, well, what are the incentives in there? Who gets their thing in there? And it's, intellectual property rights, it's not labor rights, it's not environmental rights. And so then it's been really gratifying to have some role in having a tiny amount of influence in trade agreements that actually have some of those things built in. Thinking about supply chains and incentives and trying to design things, and in my most recent incarnation in the White House, and going from a strategy of a place where we had in the bipartisan infrastructure law $7.5 billion for electric vehicle chargers, but zero manufacturers domestically of fast chargers. And so in a previous administration, well, okay, we'll just import all those. This administration, no, we can build them. So how do we do that feasibly? And so designing a strategy where over the first year, all they have to do is assemble in the U.S. now, starting in July, to get the federal incentive. They will have to manufacture at least 60% of their components here. So it'll be building a supply chain. So that is extremely gratifying, and very grateful to all the people who trusted me to to build up the theory that helped to think about that. I really look forward to the and just so excited about the energy that I've come back to, and just the energy brought by the co-deans, and then also grateful to Youngjin, who just building this research infrastructure around that sort of made it possible to get through all the government red tape involved in setting up an NSF grant, and look forward to many more collaborations. I don't think I can say more than that, but I'm just very grateful and happy to be here.
This really is fun. I hope it's fun for you. I'm enjoying it a lot. Next, I would like to call Kalle Lundin to the podium, but he's not here. So he's not off in Boston. He's actually in Germany. He's the Iris Wolstein Professor of Management Design. The professor was established in 2003 by Iris and Bart Wolstein, and Kalle has been the chairholder since its inauguration at that time. Unfortunately, he's in Germany, could not be with us, but we have him on tape. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, thank you for nominating me for the Iris and Wolstein Professor of Management Design. I appreciate the trust placed upon me and my achievement as the first chairholder so far. Especially I want to thank you for Iris S. Wolstein and late Bert Wolstein for their support and generosity over the years while holding this chair. The chair's title, Management Design, is a rare title found nowhere else as far as I know. And I am grateful to have been able to carry this title for the last nearly 20 years. The title describes largely the ethos of my research over the last 20 to 25 years. I was trained as a computer scientist and software engineer, where the purpose is to design software systems based on certain types of desirable properties. In the similar vein, managers are designers of organizations, experience, product portfolios, services, and so forth, based on the certain qualities which they want to achieve for those designed artifacts. They also manage such designs by coordinating and designing activities whereby the design gets done and implemented. And thus, the two are inherently intertwined in all the things which organizations do. The major role which management has is to conceive and imagine alternative worlds, different environments, new ways of living and experience, in the similar manner as software designers need to design new ways of conceiving software with new capabilities and functions, which will serve in certain new ways, better ways, the environments in which they are placed. This is a different attitude than that which you can, for example, see in the current hot button topic of generative AI. Unlike AI, which uses the past data to generate new old data based on stochastic interactions, managers need to break out from such circuits of data and generate totally new data which nobody has imagined before. My work has focused on such new types of data. It has focused on the interactions between the digital, the design, and management. My work will continue as holder of the chair to focus on the foundations of digital design, the innovation, and how it shapes firm strategies, how managers can create and shape a new world, create value and extract value by shaping and adjusting and leveraging digital material in our social world. I remain thankful for having the opportunity to continue to shape the managerial thought and action on this interesting trifecta of digital, innovation, and strategy. These are very exciting times to be on that triangle. And this also certifies the importance of the topic and the way in which the title of the chair has been established originally. I hope that I can satisfy the requirements placed upon me on this by holding this chair.
I think this is what they call humility in Finland. Moving right along, our next honoree will be Satish Nambisan, who's nominated for the Joseph P. and Nancy Keithley Chair in Technology Management. And the fact that a chair is named for technology management tells you when it was really formed, which was the endowment was formed in 1980, and the chair was established in 1991. Now, Joseph P., if you don't know, was the founder of Keithley Instruments, a hugely prominent company here in Cleveland. And his son, Joe, and his wife, Nancy, are huge supporters of the university. Joe's an emeriti trustee and has been a friend of the school and an advancer of much of the work around technology and entrepreneurship. And so we'll ask the ghost of Kalle to introduce Satish yet again.
Good evening. My name is Kalle Lytinen, and I am the head of the Department of Design and Innovation. I am here to nominate and congratulate Satish Nambisan for his nomination for the Nancy and Joseph Keithley Chair of Technology Management. I am sorry I cannot be there to do this announcement personally in presence, but I'm currently in Germany in Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. But I'm happy to make a few notes about Satish Nambisan's career and why he is deserving for this position. The chair in which Satish Nambisan is currently holding, which is the Nancy and Joseph Keithley Professorship, was established as an integration point and glue between strategy, marketing, entrepreneurship, and information systems when the Department of Design and Innovation was established about 10 years ago. Our aim was to promote research and teaching in product innovations, related venturing, and integrate technology innovations, market needs, and business models in the department's teaching and research missions. There are few scholars in the management field who sit comfortably in the interdisciplinary sweet spot. Being interdisciplinary can be intellectually rewarding, but alas, it is rarely academically rewarding. We are lucky to have been able to find Satish Nampisan as the first holder of the chair since 2018. His research and teaching has, through his career, has focused on product and service innovation. His background is in mechanical engineering, but he has significantly expanded his research interests and topics beyond just on the engineering aspects of products. His research has been widely cross-disciplinary, as seen in his numerous top journal publications across marketing, entrepreneurship, management, technology management, and information systems. It spans multiple theories, units of analysis, and settings. He has also been thought leader in digital innovation and related scholarship that aligns well with the Design and Innovation Department's research mission currently. Finally, Satish is a silent, often invisible doer. During his stay at the department, he has organized a successful workshop on digital innovation, managed successfully our PhD program, and during the last 2 years spearheaded the new innovative MBA on product management at the school level. I don't think that there is any scholar more fitting to possess the title of Nancy and Joseph Keathley Chair, given its original mission statement. I would like to invite Satish Nampisan himself to give his remarks for the chair and his research mission in this chair. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Compared to my colleagues who have been here 45 years and 30 years, I'm a very relatively new transplant to case. I've been here 6 years, I think, but I've found this place very of high energy and very, very, happy to be here. I have a few people to thank, and I'll first thank JB Andrew for actually holding this event. I believe this is the first year that it has been held. I think this is really great, and it helps demonstrate the commitment of the school to our research agenda. So that is wonderful. I'm also very thankful to them for renominating me to this chair position. I came here in 2017 or 18 to hold this chair, and I had, it was a big job in terms of the school, the trust they have placed on this area. And I hope that my research in the last 5 to 6 years have sort of helped move the agenda for research in the schools forward. Kali was the primary reason for me to come here. I have known Kali for probably from 2003 onwards. I was a young assistant professor, and he had reached out to me to get one of my papers. That's how I actually came to know from him. He was at Case at that time. And then I think in 2009 or 10, he invited me to write a paper for an issue that he was writing for a journal, special issue. Then I actually met him in 2014. That was the first time actually I met him in person. So I was editing a special issue for MIS Quarterly, and I invited him to be part of the team. And we had a blast of creating a new set of articles. So Kali and I have, Kali has been a great partner for me in terms of after coming to Case. He's been a friend, a very good department head, a colleague, a co-author. Also, we share some kinship in that he sort of mentioned that. He always tells about that there are two types of academics, a fox and a hedgehog. And most people fall in the hedgehog. They are focused on something, and they are in depth on that. Kali and I actually belong to the fox. We have a whole lot of interest. So we are more interested in connecting the dots across disciplines. And I was very, very glad to actually see one more person like that in academia. So I'm very, very happy to, work with Kali, and it's been really happy 6 years. I also want to thank Joe Keithley. As Andrew was saying, Joe is has not just endowed the chair. He has also been a great champion, especially in the area of product development, which is my area of research. So from the time I came here, Joe and I have met so many different times. I teach a course on product design and development in the MEM program, which is the Master's in Engineering Management, which is across engineering in the business school. And so we have students doing actual sponsored projects in product development. And so Joe actually comes to my class frequently, sits through and gives comments to critique to the students who are doing the project. So he's very, very engaged. And it's very rare to see people who have endowed chairs to be so committed that they actually come to the class. So I'm very thankful to Joe. Joe has been a great advisor to me over the past 6 years. And also when we started this new MBA in product management, he was very gracious in accepting to be part of our advisory board and spending a lot of time on that. So I'm very thankful to Joe for all the effort and time he has put in this. And I want to, sort of wrap up by thanking my wife, Priya, who is not here. She really wanted to come here. She's also an academic. She is actually a faculty in University of Wisconsin in public health. So we have 2 sons. They are 15 years old. As you can imagine, they are, in doing their AP exams. So right now, and it was not a good timing for us. So, but I want to thank Priya because she has not just been a life partner, but also a partner in my research. We have co-authored papers, and so it's been really great. And thank you. Thank you, JB and Andrew.
Thanks a lot, Satish. The next nominee is Scott Shane. So the chair that Scott is being nominated for was given by Mal Mixon and really established in 1991. For those of you who don't know Mal, it's a true Cleveland success story, and Scott can tell you Mal's stories from here until the wee hours of the morning. But this is one of those great examples of starting a business and being audacious with $8,000. Is that right, Scott? And then parlaying it into what became Invacare. And those of you who've been around Cleveland for a while know what that is and what that has meant for this community. And then really leaving a landmark in the community and doing this all in an incredibly unpretentious and driven way. Now, I have a few notes because much like my colleagues, I'm overwhelmed with the task of trying to introduce a colleague of Scott's caliber in a few minutes. But a little while ago, during an AppCom session, Ron Fry taught me something very, very important, which is when somebody comes up for tenure, the question is not how many papers have they written or how high they rank on the flag mast, but really, what is this person known for? I think in Scott's case, it's fairly unquestionable that not only is he known for something, that there's been literally no one on this planet who has left more of a mark on defining entrepreneurship as a scholarship in academia than Scott. I mean, we can start with the stats, and they're pretty overwhelming, even in this group, which is saying something. The most cited scholar, right neck and neck with Richard in the school. 3rd most cited scholar at the university. Someone in the top, let me get this right, 2% of 1%, just process that, of all living scholars nationwide in terms of impact, as compiled by Stanford a little while ago. 100 articles, 20 books, awards that I think we will lose track of, but namely the Distinguished Research Award in 2009, the Teaching Award in 2016, nominated for countless teaching awards at Weatherhead and the university-wide. Now, Satish said something really special, which is, part of what if I were to start my career all over again and come to academia at the right time instead of at ripe old age at 45, I would have been that fox, and much like Scott, who's published in management, economics, psychology, sociology, innovation management, law, and a few other disciplines. Now that's foxy. But more than that, I think what makes Scott truly incredible is the ability to generalize and abstract at a level that allows him to go deep while seeing patterns and seeing instances that others might see as a unique phenomenon, but to see as a special case of a larger phenomenon, right? And that pattern is really what allowed Scott to step back and really not only define what entrepreneurship is, but to really rethink how we discuss entrepreneurship and how we research entrepreneurship. And much of that work has covered not only theory, but also methods, and also really some innovative work around how to gather data, right? So back to the discussion of Sue's work in econ, Scott's career was path-breaking in so many ways like that. I think that skill is also what allowed Scott to be such a phenomenal investor, right? Ultimately, investing is about being able to generalize at the just right level and see patterns where others see individual instances of noise. And Scott's leadership in that space has been really impactful in the community. Not only, Scott, have you been involved with the Youngstown incubator, but also having started your own fund in Comeback Capital, having advised and really been much of the energy behind the launch of India's largest homegrown VC platform, an Ivy Cap, run by one of our phenomenal alums, Vikram Gupta in India. And the impact that you've left, even just naming your fund Comeback Capital with the express goal of bringing VC IP and capital and energy with a focus here in the heartland, has really been transformational. You know, in the words of Louis Pasteur, right? In the fields of observation, chance fares a prepared mind. It's really hard to find one better than you. Scott, come on up.
Thanks for the kind introduction and those words. So, as those of you who know me will know that I am both candid and data-driven. So I'm just going to tell you the stories of the origin with a single theme here that I think governs the whole set of thank yous that I want to give. So, Frank Knight actually defined uncertainty as the inability to know the future. And that is the history of my career and my activity in the Mixon Chair of Entrepreneurship. And it actually tells you the entire story of all the thank yous. So I'm going to start with thank yous that probably people aren't going to expect here. I have to first thank Mohsen Envari, who is the dean of the Weatherhead School when I got hired. I have to thank Ed Huntert, who is the president of the university, because if it weren't for the two of them, I wouldn't be here at all. I have to thank Jim Rebitzer, and not perhaps for a way that most people would think, because the department where entrepreneurship sat at the Weatherhead School didn't want me to come to the Weatherhead School, but Jim said, okay, we'll have you in economics. And that defines the entire future of this effort. I have to thank two people who aren't academics at all. I have to thank Mal Mixon, and by the way, it is not for the financial support that he gave for the Mixon Professorship at all. It is for the fact that he spent hours telling me how academics were completely wrong about everything about entrepreneurship and gave me lots and lots of anecdotes of why. And I have to thank Dave Morgenthaler, who told me that every academic was completely wrong about how investors thought. And that, and my desire to actually explain things, was very important to me. Now, I want to thank a bunch of people over the years for the work that I have done in this area. So I actually spent a great deal of time studying 3 different questions in succession. The first one is, sounds simple, what is entrepreneurship? That work started with Venkat Venkatraman, who was my dissertation advisor at the University of Pennsylvania, who's now at the University of Virginia, and probably my single most cited work ever, and a big chunk of everything that I am known for is really his idea. The second stream of research, most of what I know about technology entrepreneurship, comes from the work that I did with a doctoral student at the University of Maryland, John Eckhart, who's now a chaired professor at the University of Wisconsin. Again, you know, I did some of the work, but most of these ideas resided with many of these others. I want to add that I had a very good colleague at the school, Stockholm School of Economics, who's now gone to the dark side and is a dean at EM Lyon. But with all respect to those who go to the dark side, taught me everything there was to know about the dynamics of entrepreneurship and thinking about it as a process. That is hugely important to me. I want to thank Mark Schweitzer at the Cleveland Fed and now of the economics department. I spent many years, most of which was around the time of the Great Recession, learning all about public policy and entrepreneurship, something that other than talking to my colleague Sue Helper, I really didn't understand anything at all about, and probably only understand a very little. I want to make 2 other thank yous here in the process. One of them is the single most influential person in my academic career, Nikos Nikolaou, who is now at Warwick, University of Warwick in the UK. I met when he was a doctoral student at Imperial College, and I was an assistant professor at Georgia Tech. Almost every research stream that I have done over the past 20 years, from him convincing me we should study genetics and entrepreneurship all the way through to ending up doing molecular genetics work on entrepreneurship, into the cognitive neuroscience and measuring decision-making of investors, comes from working with Nikos, and he counts for that. And I want to add one other person here that had an incredible influence on me, which is my colleague David Klingingsmith. If David hadn't convinced me how bad regressions are and how little you can understand from a regression, I think I would still be stuck in not knowing a lot of stuff. But really, the idea of running randomized controlled trials, very much with him. And so the one final thank you that I have to say is to my wife, Lynn Schneider, because her willingness to eat her words with her parents when she left to go to Duke for undergraduate, that I will never come back to Northeast Ohio, she was willing to allow to pass, and we moved here in 2003. Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, thank you. We got lost in the script here. Let me now invite Rob Whiting to come up and introduce Jagdeep Singh, who is the AT&T Chair in Marketing. Professorship was established in '95 by Meritech, which is now known as AT&T. Rob?
Thank you, JB. And I would be remiss not to add my thanks to the two deans for putting on this wonderful event, the chairing and the re-chairing ceremonies. I wish I would have done that years ago. Thank you. Jagdeep and I first met when I was interviewed at the AMA conference in August of 1987, along with Mohan Reddy, former faculty member Jan Heda, and Stan Court. It was a wonderful team. Since then, I have worked with Jagdeep as a junior and senior faculty member, as a colleague in many professional activities, as a co-author, and in my time as dean on developing new academic programs. Now I've been asked to report on why Jagdeep warrants his reappointment to this prestigious chair. Well, I'm not entirely sure that I am qualified to evaluate a superstar, but I'll give it a go. Jagdeep's research numbers are rather mind-boggling, as are all of the ones for the chairs we've just listened to. He has over 32,000 citation, an H-index of 57, I-10 of 77, and all are climbing, with steepness still in the curve. His award list is lengthy and richly well-deserved, including his receipt of the Distinguished University Researcher Award at Case Western. This crowning achievement was accompanied by many other awards, contributions, and forms of recognition, including the following. Jagdeep received the James Comer Award for the best contribution to selling and sales management, the IDEA Thought Leader Award from the Academy of Management Review, 2 Jag Sheth Awards for Best Article from the Academy of Marketing Science, the Best Article Award from the Journal of Personal Selling and Sales Management, and he was a finalist for the Hunt Maynard Award from the Journal of Marketing for the Best Theoretical Article. He has also received Outstanding Research or Reviewer Awards, including those from the Journal of Marketing, the Journal of Retailing, and the Journal of Personal Selling and Sales Management. He has also received a number of other CWRU and Weatherhead Awards, including awards for doctoral student mentoring, 2, graduate student teaching, and of course, his research. Just reviewing the list of his accomplishments wearies me, but there is more. He is known as the founding father of a new research domain, organizational frontlines research, which has grown from a startup interest group to a conference held annually in conjunction with the Winter AMA Educators Conference. It attracts not only scholars and research students, but a small army of practitioners as well. Some of you may not be aware of the high esteem with which Jagdeep is held by the management community, but I've been struck by the almost reverence with which business leaders hold Jagdeep. I had the privilege of introducing Jagdeep a few years ago when he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by the AMA's Special Interest Group. The large room was packed with scholars, research students, leading practitioners, and distinguished guests. He received a prolonged standing ovation. Jagdeep has also been instrumental in contributing to our academic programs, both across the university and within Weatherhead. Indeed, he was an early driver of the creation of our business analytics programs in marketing and management, and their development and launch, along with Rakesh and Kamlesh. So to summarize, as a scholar, teacher, editorial board member, mentor, innovator, disciplined founder, and academic leader, Jagdeep has done much to shape and advance marketing and management theory, practice, and education. And in doing so, he has greatly enhanced the standing of Weatherhead and Case Western Reserve University. It is a true honor and privilege for me to introduce Jagdeep at this re-chairing ceremony. I value and cherish your friendship, and I thank you for the invitation, Jagdeep.
Good evening. It's getting to be that time. My gosh, Rob, you're a wonderful friend, amazing colleague, and you tell good story. And I'm honored today to be the subject of his story. But I want to also say, like many others who came up, just the scale and substance of scholarship at Weatherhead is humbling. Look at the people around you and what they have accomplished as a community and as wonderful colleagues of each other, and they make it happen. And I want to say a few words about what made me happen. When I arrived in Weatherhead in 1985 as a rookie, that's what they call them. Inexperienced, doesn't know where he's going, but I think he'll be okay. That's a rookie. My journey began 3 years before when I landed in the US from India with an electrical engineering degree and about 7 years of industry experience. It's a long journey, most of it here at Weatherhead. And as I reflect on this journey, there are a couple of themes that come to my mind. And I want to take the time to share them with you and see what you think of them. I think the first, this is about scholarship, and I think celebration of scholarship like this is so important, as others have said, because that's the core that makes an academic institution vibrant and alive. So it's important. So the first insight that I have is that ideas germinate scholarship when people interact. Scholarship is creative work, and creativity is fueled by people you encounter and engage. People by chance, in the hallways, in the corners. And PBL has many corners, many unknown yet. And I think there is a word for it, serendipity. Serendipity. Naturally, then, one's record of scholarship is not simply an individual accomplishment. It comes from the community of colleagues around you. And as a rookie starting this journey, Weatherhead offered me the gift. And the gift was of working with some amazing colleagues. And to them and to Weatherhead, I owe my sincere gratitude. Just to name a few, the list is long, quite long, and my time is short, so I'll keep it tight. First to Rob Whiting, with whom I wrote one of my first papers. And then 25 years later, we started writing again as if nothing had changed in between. An amazing experience. So thank you. And then to JB, Tim Fogarty, whom I saw here, Shayan Chatterjee, Satish Nambisan, and many others in this room, with whom I discovered the joy of interdisciplinary research. And I see JP at the back, and we are working on a project. And it's just a beautiful thing to do, to cut across boundaries and work with people that you just met in a corner, in a hallway somewhere, and things got started. There are many others from whom I learned so much. With John Aram, the discipline of research. With Deepak Sirdeshmukh, the tenacity of research. With Detalina Maranova, the rigor of research. With Melissa Carden, the passion of research. All faculty colleagues at Weatherhead. And we did some amazing, wonderful work together. And I think Scott mentioned Knightian uncertainty. When you start a project, there is that uncertainty. You don't know where it's going to go. But the beauty of it is to work with colleagues and trust the system to say, we are here to do scholarship, and ideas are germinated in how people interact. And now Chris Bauman, who is here from Sydney, Australia, and thanks for coming, to celebrate and advance our current collaboration, which spans 4 continents. I've not done this before, and just getting everyone on this weekly call is quite magical. We are catching them at different times of their sleeping or waking up, so it's fun to do. And to them, and to many others, my sincere thanks for the opportunity to work and learn together. There's a second theme I said, which I want to mention, is personal. It is how I see my roles today as a scholar, teacher, and a service leader. I see them from the lens of frontlines, and I think Rob mentioned my interest in that field, a field that I and 3 other colleagues had the privilege of formalizing now almost 10 years ago. We'll celebrate our 10 years next year. And if you allow me, I would like to say a few words about this lens of frontlines. What is frontlines? Frontlines is a very common term. It means a study of how organizations connect with customers for a better world. David, your influence. Technology on the front lines is a game changer, as it was for AT&T, the chair I hold. In the early 1930s, the Huron Building in downtown Cleveland, I don't know how many of you know that, was a center of a new technology for connecting people long distance. The technology was super switchers, electrical devices, it goes back to my electrical engineering, that made connections for what they called voice highways, how people can connect through voice to the voice highways. It changed the game of communications, and it made AT&T a household name. So technology in the front lines, which they were trying to do, is a powerful way of understanding how we connect and how make life better for people. Today, AI, artificial intelligence, is a similar game changer for the front lines. We have much to understand about how to harness this technology to connect with customers for better outcomes and for a better life. We know the technology, but how do you make it work for us? We know little. And it is one that defies old rules and challenges us to think differently. In the classroom, as a professor, I serve a frontline role to connect with students, to skill them for better jobs. And as is common knowledge now, AI technology is changing everything. What we teach, how we interact, and how we inspire students. It's a profound change. So Frontline has a meaning for me in that role as well. As a program leader, so I'm running this business analytics program, I'm in the front lines of making connections between students and industry partners to create opportunity highways, much like AT&T did in creating voice highways. So you see, the AT&T chair I hold gives meaning to the frontline lens that I use to do what I do and the roles I play. And I hold the chair with that inspiration in mind. And I'm proud to be nominated and renominated again today. That brings me to the 2 themes I said in the beginning: gratitude and serendipity. Gratitude for all that came my way. Remember a rookie at Weatherhead, 1985. Serendipity for the power of small probabilities. For the reason that what matters is the interactions with people that serendipity enables. The probabilities are small, but the small probabilities amplify when people interact. And people make the place. interactions with people is the fuel for scholarship, in my view. And for that, I am sincerely grateful for Weatherhead to be the place of interactions that gave me the space and the room to flourish, and for this chair position to enable me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the good news is we're about halfway there. Now, Youngjin, I'm not sure where your last name would rank in the Korean alphabet, but I'm sure you're thrilled to be in a Latinized country where Y comes towards the end. No, but in all seriousness, I'd like to ask Fred Kalpe to come up here to introduce Youngjin Yu, who is the William and Elizabeth Treuhoff Professor of Entrepreneurship. Now, the professorship was established in honor of William Treuhoff, who was both CIT and a Delbert College alum, and then was a trustee of the university, and was a big supporter of Weatherhead. Fred?
Thank you, Andrew. What a pleasure it is to do. Thank you. I titled my remarks on the nature of Youngjin Yu. Thank you. Thank you. Schools and universities like ours have long relied upon a triadic review and development system. We're held to standards around research, teaching, and service. Most often, the relationship among them is seen as zero-sum. Any energy that I expend on service comes at a cost to my students. Whatever I do for my students impacts the volume and quality of my research, and there will never be enough time to achieve all that I wish to with my research. But the choice to see the world that way is just that. It's a choice. Not everyone makes that particular choice, and indeed many of you who have attained the rare honor of chaired professorships have not. Certainly, Youngjin has not. It is easy to see the tensions among the academic roles. For example, teaching and service are externally motivated. What do these people need? Motivation for our research, on the other hand, at least in its purest form, is self-motivated. What do I need to learn in order to better understand and explain X? Research and service have broad audiences, where teaching demands attention to individuals. We start where each student is and work on their particular issue. Teaching and research have pretty clear objectives, while what can be expected from our service is often ambiguous. And more generally, we are unlikely ever to establish good ways for trading roles against one another. The three academic roles actually align with other cultural triads pretty nicely. For example, take truth, goodness, and beauty. Truth, clearly what research is ultimately about. Goodness, probably the most effective teaching method. And beauty, any system we serve either demonstrates or fails to demonstrate some kind of elegance. Or if you prefer a more theological example, consider faith, research, charity, service, hope, teaching. Philosophers suggest that looking beyond trade-offs often leads to seeing that each value or role is actually a catalyst for the others, and to discovering that there are yet higher values. So if we let it, even the classic academic performance model can help us identify and act upon values and support our humanity. Early in the pandemic, Youngjin invited me to join an online sprint aimed at creating a new information environment. I saw him researching and designing the details of an architecture to support personal data ownership. He was also teaching relevant foundational notions to young people from this and other institutions all around the world. He was exploring his ideas with faculty members across the engineering, nursing, and management schools. He was negotiating with university officials, investors, and local politicians to build institutional support. And all the while, he adroitly used his activities in each of these groups to leverage progress with the others. In this one project, he was, in short, researching, teaching, and serving. When roles and values are blended rather than traded off, we speak of them as integrated, and we speak of the people who blend them as demonstrating an important dimension of integrity. We sense that what they are doing is all of a piece, that it fits together nicely. Having known him for a quarter century now, that is how I see Young Jin Yu. He is a scholar, a teacher, and a colleague of extraordinary integrity, and that is true of him as a friend as well. I'm honored to be able to introduce Young Jin Yu.
Well, so I'm the last person for tonight, so I'm going to keep it short so that we can get on with our lives. So thank you, Fred. That was very moving. So I always say that the best professional decision I ever made and the second best personal decision I ever made was walking into Fred's office and say, Fred, I just came back from the Academy Management Junior Faculty Consortium, where I was told that it is okay if your university does not have a mentor for you. It's okay to walk into senior faculty's office and say, I appoint you as my mentor, right? So, Dick Bolin was very, overwhelming, and college just arrived, and so I thought, well, who's available? Like Fred, So I walked into his office and Fred, I appoint you as my mentor. And then to my surprise, he took it very seriously. We had monthly lunch. And when he became department chair, the sign that I made a right choice was that on his whiteboard, his number one goal as a department chair was tenuring Youngjin. And he accomplished that. So, and then when I decided to leave, there's all kinds of interesting stories. I was offered endowed chair position by, one of the former deans who shall remain unnamed. But the one condition, the condition was leaving the department. And I said, the only reason I would remain here would be the colleagues of my department. That was Fred and Dick and Kali. And so I was gone for 10 years, and I was having great time. Some of the papers I wrote became quite popular, and surprisingly. And around 2013 and 14, some of the work that I did became foundational work on some of the works that other schools and companies were doing. And, digital innovation was not really the term that people were using at the time. And, it was a term that, we coined around 2006, and the paper came out in 10. And I felt that, I may have an opportunity to do something bigger. And there were a lot of opportunities that was knocking on my door. And there was one particular opportunity that I was actually thinking about, and we had an advanced conversation. It didn't work out at the end. I was disappointed, but then I was here 2000, I think it was 15. Rob was the dean. Fred was the vice dean. And we had a dinner. It was a dinner with, I was doing exec ed with UH leadership, and Fred and Dick wanted to take me out for dinner. Simon was there, and then we were eating Little Italy, and we had too much wine. And we were having great time. Somebody took a picture. I posted on Facebook. And I came back home. I was a little sad because things were not worked out. And then my wife said, why don't you go back to Cleveland? And I said, why? And she said, I saw that picture that you posted on Facebook. You look always happy when you go to Cleveland. So the reason that I'm here is because A, that picture, B, my wife has the wisdom to tell me, to make me realize where I actually am happy. So I'd like to thank my wife for, first of all, enduring me, putting up with me every day. And then second, also have the wisdom of telling me that I need to come back to Cleveland. I also want to thank, Dick Boland, who hired me in the first place. Scott Cowan, who was the dean, and then he made a choice. I was a brand new PhD, rookie, as Jagdeep said, from Maryland. Broken English and strong accent, and didn't know what to do. Is from Korea and like international student. And somehow Dick Boland decided to hire me after sleeping through my whole interview, one-on-one interview. And then he said, I'm going to make an offer. So, now, many years later, a couple decades later, I'm here. And it has been great journey. Dick has taught me so much, not just about research, but about his way of appreciating other people's ideas and figuring out a way to create new things out of something. What I found was like, really, there's nothing there, And then we were sitting in the same room, but somehow he found always something valuable and turned it into amazing idea. And I am always trying to practice that, wisdom that I learned from him. And I don't think I will ever be able to become as good as, he is. Kali Lutin is another person. Kali joined after me, 1999. And, he's, Kali Lutin, right? So first lunch that I had with him, I said, I'm doing mobile computing and collaborative computing type of things. And he said, in his usual bluntness, so what do you know about mobile computing? I'm from Finland, the country that invented mobile phone at the time, Nokia. So what do you know about mobile computing? I said, I don't know anything about mobile computing. So that's our relationship. Ever since then, we've been collaborating, advised so many doctoral students. So I cannot thank Kali enough. Of course, Rob and Fred, decided that when I said, Fred, my wife said I can go back to Cleveland. And then Fred said, we can make that happen. And then, Rob and Fred, made it happen. And so with the chair, so I was able to come back and, had a great time since I came back. I cannot thank enough my doctoral students. All the papers, most of the work I do is with my students. I always, only have half-baked ideas. And I think maybe we should try this, maybe we should try that. Every once in a while, there are some crazy doctoral students who know nothing better than maybe we should actually try that. And then they took extra courses, they go to YouTube and learn the algorithms and try that out. And, we have some great, papers, some of which took like 7 years, 9 years to get published. But nevertheless, they got published in the end, at the end. I'd like to conclude thanking JB and Andrew for creating this opportunity. Also, particularly for entrusting me with the responsibility of leading our research enterprise. When I was listening all the remarks and then seeing all these great colleagues in front of me, it was really humbling experience to think that I have any role to play to help them to help the community to do more research. But when I actually think about it, number one, our colleagues, our community, gives me the confidence to go to other places, companies, and government agencies and foundations to say that we can do that. Give us a chance. We'll put together a proposal and we'll put together a team, because I think we have amazing colleagues who will do amazing work above and beyond what is being asked. Also, since I took on this role, I had a chance to meet with many of the junior faculty members, and it just was amazing experience. And I am very hopeful that our future will be even greater and brighter than our amazing past and history. And that's why I'm really excited about being here today. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, colleagues. And now I think we'd like to invite, in the grand tradition of academia, all of the appointed chairs to take their esteemed place in the actual chair. Come on up, folks. No? Distinguished colleagues, as you assume your role as chairs, you accept the responsibility of guiding our enterprise. Please do not take responsibility lightly. Thank you for all you do, and I'm so honored to be your colleague. Thank you.